Good afternoon, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order. It's 1 o'clock. Ask you all to rise and join us in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Join us in a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Councillor Warren, you have the open agenda. Yep. Turn your mic on.
Addition item 6.5 being a deputation by Kim and John McKinnon regarding a telecommunications tower on Gilmar Road.
Thank you. Any additions, deletions? All in favor? And that's passed. I think today, Councillor Joyce is going to zoom in for closed session. Councillor Perry is zooming in from places afar, and
I am present, Mayor.
I expect we'll hear from Councillor Yeo. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest for anything on today's agenda? Seeing none, should any arise, please advise the chair and we'll deal with it accordingly. Notices and information by members of council. Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, and through Mr. Mayor. At this time, I would like to extend well wishes and community pride to many local Canadian athletes that will be partaking in Paris coming up. A special shout out to 2 local athletes with local connections in the Manvers community. I've actually been very honored to see them grow up and in our community, and they're absolutely amazing ladies. And to think of the mental, physical strength these folks have and dedication is pretty incredible. One being Jill Moffat, making her second appearance at the Olympics, competing in the lightweight women's double sculls, and Olivia App's second Olympic appearance as well in the women's 7 rugby, and she has been named the team captain this year for the Olympic team, so that's pretty incredible. Another item is the Bethany Athletic Society has their 5th annual Gears, Guts, and Mud this Saturday, July 29th. Registration is at 8. There's a show and shine, there's mug bods, bog races, vendors, raffles, swap meet, live music, and dancing into the evening. And apparently, I have been challenged to do the mud bog obstacle course at the end of the races, and I can do that, so I will. And another one is on Saturday, August 17th, we have the 4th annual Car Classic Show in Pontypool. It's back to the same in location. It honors our food banks in the area, our community center, our park board, and our local firefighters association. Gates open at 7. It's run by the community, for the community. We're still looking for volunteers. You can get sign up through the Pontypool community page on the website. Another shout out is to the Fowler's Corners District Lions. They continue to have their cruise nights at the barn this year with live music, and the crowds are absolutely amazing, which we obviously see there's a great love for cars that we just witnessed this past weekend as well. Also, I want to, this morning we had a cultural task force meeting upstairs, and it was awesome to notice that we have congratulate staff and Laura Love for having the wonderful walk-through event upstairs celebrating the 150th anniversary of our Lucy Maud Montgomery. She has some Kawartha Lakes connections, so anybody that's near the city, please drop in and see the display. It's incredible. That's it for today. Thank you.
Busy times in Ward 8. Councillor Warren.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I had the pleasure of attending the 90th anniversary of the Bobcaygeon Legion, which was really action-packed. They had a tea on Friday, and then they had an incredible dinner with a dance with an 18-piece orchestra. And I wasn't aware of that. It was like, wow, it was incredible. And we had all sorts of people up there dancing. So it was a lot of fun. And then we had also a presentation on Sunday at the Legion. So it was a good weekend for the Bobcaygeon Legion. And so coming up on August 3rd is Midnight Madness. So we haven't had Midnight Madness in Bobcaygeon for a while, so this is going to be an incredible evening into the not too late at night. So I'm inviting everybody to attend. As well, I'm really, really happy to share some great news that all the permits from the Trent Severn Waterway and Transport Canada for the boat and boat launches at the Bobcaygeon Beach are in hand. So that means work will begin the middle of August and to be completed by the end of September. And I want to thank everyone for their patience. So it's been a while, but it's going to be great once it's done. Also, coming up in Kinmount, there is a Hike for Health on August 11th, which is always a really great event. And this is their main fundraising event for the medical center up in Kinmount. And we're having a town hall meeting on renewables and affordable energy solutions. It's enjoy a free lunch, connect with like-minded community members, and get your questions answered about heat pumps. And the experts will be there. And it says explore cleaner and cheaper energy alternatives. So it's Sunday, July 28th, 2024 at 12:30 to 2, at the Bob Cajun Community Center, and there will be a light lunch. Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, the air conditioning in here is not up to snuff, so if anybody wants to take their jacket off, go ahead. Deputy Mayor McDonald, you're up.
Yeah, thank you, through you. A couple things. I'll start off with Councillor Joyce, because he wasn't quite sure if he'd be able to get in or not, but he wanted me to read this out. As part of our summer reading club at the library, again, is working with roads, environmental services, Miller Waste, OPP, Kawartha Lakes Police Service, as well as fire and ambulance services, to present a very popular Touch a Truck event, which all the members of the community can see service vehicles up close and meet staff who run them. For the second year, the library has fully booked seats on their two-wheel on the bus storytime events in the partnership with the Lindsay Transit. This is a great opportunity for these departments to both showcase and explain the services provided to members of the community. These Touch a Truck events are being offered at all 14 library branches, allowing residents across the Kawartha Lakes to take part. So he wants to wish that the mayor and councillors are all invited to this, and hopes to see us there. I also had the opportunity to attend LCVI 2024 graduation awards on behalf of the Optimist Club of Lindsay. These awards for the Community Youth Work Service Awards. These awards are many clubs and individuals that make it possible for young youth to continue their education and goals and achievements. So I'd like to thank everybody who participated in this year's awards and the presentations. It was a great evening. As most of you know, which I think a lot of my councillors sitting and the mayor attended the Brits in the Park and Classics on Kent in Lindsay. I'm telling you right now, I've been involved with that for many years, but I think this is one of the best ones we've ever had. It was packed. It was thousands of people there, more cars than I've ever seen, and it was just a great day to see everybody out there and enjoying themselves. So thanks to the BIA. Ward's lawyers were involved. Thank you for their participation, and all the vendors, volunteers, and of course all the vehicles that showed up to show their beautiful vehicles. So again, a great success, and thanks everybody for the time that they put into this. And another one for the, on top of Councillor Richardson here, we got Emma Wright. She is also a second time going to the Olympics for water polo. So way to go, and everybody can cheer her on, and you can go on the website when they're in Paris, and you can cheer them on, and I encourage everybody to do that with all the athletes in the city of Kawartha Lakes and many in Ontario. So good luck to all of them in Paris. And one other thing, I'm not sure if anybody remembers or not, but the plowing match is coming up, and it's just a reminder, we're still looking for volunteers and everything. It's come along well, and the plowing match is October 1st to the 5th. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few announcements. This past Sunday afternoon, I attended the celebration of life for Mr. David Robertson. The Robertson family were an integral part of history in the Dunsford area, Scotch Line Road specifically. And we had the celebration of life for David and his family put on by Nancy Griffin, to thank her for all the work she did there to organize that at the Dunsford Golf Club. I'd like to congratulate all the students who graduated in Ward 6, and that includes St. Luke's Separate School in Downeyville, Lady Eaton Elementary School, Scott Young School in Omemee, and Dunsford District Elementary School, as well as two parochial schools that we have for the Mennonite community. All these students move on to further chapters in their life, and wanted to recognize them. Sometime in August, we will be holding a public meeting for the Omemee Splash Pad, proposed Omemee Splash Pad. We have not set the date yet, but just wanted to let the public know that we are still actively working on this project, and we'll be announcing a date for that very soon. This coming August 10th and 17th, those are Saturdays from 10 till 2, the Dunsford Library will be holding what's called a hands-on fun day for families, and this is a new activity, a new program that they have. So families are invited to come on August 10th and August 17th to the Dunsford Library. And right now, as we speak, there's a lot of construction going on in Ward 6, as is everywhere else in Kawartha Lakes. Today, the community of Lakeview Estates is being fully reconstructed, repaved. There's been a lot of bridge work that's been done. Culvert's been done. The bridge is being done in a joint Ward 6, Ward 8 project in Cowan's Bay, and that's coming along. Appreciate people's patience, but when we get all these projects done, they're certainly worthwhile. And finally, I'd like to concur with Deputy Mayor McDonald. I'm also on the Plowing Match Committee with a special events, and we are definitely looking for volunteers, and also exhibitors and sponsors. So if you need more information, look up plowingmatch.org or my website, ronashmore.ca. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Perry. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. Well, it's great to be able to join by the marvels of modern technology. And given that I'm here at the mercy of the internet connection while on vacation, I will keep my camera off as per the procedural bylaw and turn it on when speaking and voting. So thank you for that indulgence, Mayor. And as you know firsthand, it's always busy times here in Ward 3. We celebrated Pride the week of July 8th to 14th. Love is love, and we had a great Pride event at Maryborough Lodge in Fenelon Falls with a theme of Everyone Matters. And it was just a super day, a super event, and I want to make sure to lift up Rayleigh Ray and Rayleigh's team for just such a successful event that people from all over the community and indeed all over Kawartha Lakes were able to join in and have fun. I was honored to be able to sponsor the most fabulous glitter table. Fun time was had by all. Speaking of a fun time, last weekend was the Fenelon Fair, July 19th, 20th, and 21st, and I really want to commend Faye McGee and the Fenelon Fair Board for all of their hard work, which paid off with a great fair again this year. And coming up August 2nd to 4th, so very soon, is the annual Fenelon Falls Car, Truck, and Bike Show, which is always really well attended. All kinds of classic cars, trucks, and bikes as advertised. And I want to really single out Jim, Sharon, and Andy Bellwood, who really have been instrumental, along with their team, to bring this event to Fenelon Falls and the surrounding community year after year. Lastly, I want to piggyback on Councillor Ashmore's remarks. Lots of construction, which is great to see in Ward 3 as well. And I really want to thank the city's engineering department and public works and the workers on the ground who are out there on hot days getting things done. So thank you very much. And thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Smeaton.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Through you, first a thanks to Director Johnson and her team for a fantastic milk run on Sunday morning. They invited me to kick it off with the blowhorn and so on. It was a lot of fun and a lot of numbers, like an insane amount of numbers. So it was really, really successful morning. And then they were able to carry on and join some of the events mentioned already. So it was quite a great day in Lindsay on Sunday. From the Huron Tract, the Ottawa Huron Tract History Association is hosting a Heritage Stories Festival with a feature on Iceland on August 17th at Celebrations in Lindsay. So that's the Old Queen Street United Church. They're calling for submissions for Best Heritage Flash Story, Best Song About Kawartha Lakes Heritage, and Best Visual Image of the event to be composed at the event. Similar to Councillor Perry, I had fun with the Pride in the Park here in Lindsay and got to play music with the executive director of the chamber, Terry, again. So that was a lot of fun, and we played some hits and people were dancing. It was a nice afternoon. Pretty huge upcoming event, August 9th at the Armory, as we celebrate the inauguration of our new police chief. So that'll be a very exciting day. And I'll finish by saying Canada Day was great up at Wilson Fields. Seems like a long time ago, but we haven't had a council meeting since. So thank you to everybody who coordinated, convened, whatever it was they were doing. Our family had a really nice Canada Day at Wilson Fields. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Just one sad note I have. Brent DeVolin, who was a longtime member of the Joint Activities Committee, also a member of Halliburton Kawartha Housing Corporation, former mayor of Dysart, and a well-known politician in Halliburton County. unfortunately, he passed away yesterday, and he will be missed. He was a community leader that did a lot of things. So sad news about Brent. Other than that, staff, any notices from staff? No? Okay, moving on. I have a motion that the minutes of the regular council meeting of June 25th, 2024 be received and adopted. Councillor Perry, Councillor Ashmore. Any comments, questions? All in favor? And that's passed. Moving on to deputations, 6.1 is a petition requesting the resurfacing of Lightning Point Road between Highway 35 and South Fork Road, and it relates to item 11.1 on the agenda. John Piper, I believe, is speaking to that. You have 5 minutes, sir. There's a button. There you go.
Okay, thank you. Yes, my name's John Piper. I'm the president of the Lightning Point Homeowners Association. I think Sarah's passed out a couple pictures for me. I think they're pretty good at illustrating the problems we're having with our road. If you look at number 1, that's what the petition's about. You can see that road's just potholes and lumps. So when there's not a pothole, they fix it and it turns into a lump. It makes it difficult to drive on. We've all dented our rims, over the summer and over the winter, and had to get them fixed. This is the second year we put in this petition. We just like to get fixed. It's hard to drive on. It's been like this for quite a while. We've been trying to get it fixed for several years. There's a second picture I've submitted, and it illustrates one of the problems, which I think is a safety problem. Years ago, before I got involved, I guess the city resurfaced some sort of short swaths of the road. And if you look at the second picture, what's happened is they've resurfaced a short swath on the left-hand side, and what happens with that blind corner, people are dodging the potholes, so everybody uses the wrong side of the road when you come up to that blind corner. And it's not a good idea, obviously, and we don't condone people driving on the wrong side of the road, but the road is such a disaster that that's what happens. And it's, a cottage area. There's maybe 100 people on this short road. People are walking with their dogs or their grandchildren on the weekend. And, we just like to get it fixed as soon as we possibly can. Every year we bring it up, and we've talked to the roads department, and they said we're in the 5-year plan. When I talked to them last year, they were going to tentatively fix it in 2007. When I asked if that was really when it's going to get fixed, they said no idea because things move all the time. So, we've been working on this for a long time, and we'd really like to get some action on it. Thank you.
Thank you. If you just stay there for a minute in case there are questions.
Yeah.
Can I get a motion to receive the deputation? Councillor Warren? Councillor Yeo? Questions for the deputant? Seeing none, I have just a couple. I believe there's another problem with that road, that the brush is growing over the road or encroaching on the road, so it's making it even more narrow. Is that a concern as well?
That is true. It's a pretty narrow road in the first place, and it doesn't have any shoulders. So, that is another concern when people are walking, but the brush is it's closing in on us a little bit, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take the deputation and we will take the petition and refer it to staff. There's also, I'll get you in a minute, Councillor Warren. There's also, we are commencing with a roads task force, and I think those deputations will ultimately find deputations and petitions will find their way to that roads task force, and they'll be working with staff. So
that's great. Thank you.
Okay, so Councillor Warren.
So I was just going to make a motion that Lightning Point Road be referred to the 2025 capital budget for consideration.
Yeah, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna refer them to the Roads Task Force, and the Roads Task Force will come up with recommendations that will go to budget deliberations. Does that work?
I guess it will. Are we going to be going out to see all these roads? How's this all going to?
Question for the
Is
chair.
it possible to just refer it to the capital budget at this
Well, I
point?
think we're trying to make use of the roads task force, so I think there'll be a number of things, and you can do it at the task force.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion that it be referred to the roads task force.
Thank you. And when we get to the petition, we can refer that to staff. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Councillor Ashmore.
No, I was just going to second that motion. Yeah.
Okay. All in favor? Good. So it's, your petition is going to the Roads Task Force and, or your deputation, and we'll see what happens with the petition later on in the agenda. But I suspect it'll be referred back to staff.
Thanks, Mr.
Okay?
Mayor.
Thank you. Next up, we have a request for the unassumed portion of Wiley Road to be graded. Ms. Deb Hewitt. Ms. Hewitt, you have 5 minutes. There's a button at the bottom. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a request to provide limited seasonal service to the unassumed section of Wiley Road. Wiley Road is north of the Kirkfield lift locks in the Carden-Alvar. The seasonal service, I quote the seasonal level of service policy, CP 2021-003, shall be maintained on an as-needed basis at the discretion of the Public Works Supervisor. General maintenance includes gravel application as determined by the supervisor and a maximum of 2 gradings annual. End of quote. Please consider grading the road twice during the spring-summer season so that all visitors can safely and easily move along Wiley Road. The south section of Wiley Road is assumed and has received grading and gravel application in June. The unassumed section begins to the north of a log house. The road is not maintained. How do the people that we encountered in June know about Wiley Road? A search of Carden-Alvar in Google Maps gives directions to Wiley Road, photos and reviews. I've included examples of published books that describe the significance of Carden, how to get there, what to look for, and unfortunately, warnings about the condition of the road. There are also suggestions on where to eat, shop, and stay overnight in the city of Kawartha Lakes. Examples of these publications can be found in the appendices that I've sent, and include 110 nature hotspots in Ontario. I bought this book at Costco in Aurelia in 2019. Appendix B, Places to Bird in Ontario, purchased through Amazon in 2024. Appendix C is Nature Conservancy Canada from their website. Appendix D is Couchiching Conservancy from their website. And Appendix E, the Carden-Alvar Important Bird Areas, review by David Bailey. The following is a list of groups that use Wiley Road. I received this information from Mr. Neil Gray, president of the Carden Field Naturalists. Information about Carden is provided through the organization publications and newsletters. So number 1, the Ontario Field Ornithologists. This is a 4,000-member organization, the largest private group dedicated to birding in the province. They come as a group of 40 to 50 birders twice a year. Number 2, Birds Canada. Number 3, Ontario Nature. Number 4, Nature Conservancy of Canada. Number 5, Camera Clubs. Number 6, Botanical Clubs. Number 7, Entomologists. Number 8, students from the University of Toronto, Trent University, and Lakehead University. Number 9, volunteers from the Couchiching Conservancy. Number 10, international birders from many parts of the world, including Japan, China, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, France, Germany, and the UK, visited Wiley Road in May of 2024 after attending spring warbler migration. That was in Point Pelee National Park. A few hundred moved up to the Carden area, which is also recognized as an important bird area, to continue their birding. The Carden Field Naturalists and the Wildlife Preservation Canada also use Wiley Road. What is my personal interest in this? Upon retiring, Herb Furness, a local gentleman, established an eastern bluebird nesting box trail of 93 nesting boxes on Wiley Road, Shrike Road, and Juniper Lane. He has provided the boxes and has maintained them for over 40 years. I've been Herb's helper for the past 5 years, and now we are switching roles as this is our succession plan. We collect data of the number of bluebird eggs laid, the number of young that have hatched, and the number of young that have fledged. This information is reported to the American Ornithological Society. Our current total is 4,794 eastern bluebirds that our nesting boxes have fledged over the past 40 years. Wiley Road has the acknowledged status of being, and I quote from the Ontario Field Ornithologists, the best birding road in southern Ontario. It is also a premier trail for access to other abled individuals, i.e. those with mobility issues, have previously found this a very accessible way to experience being in nature. With the current state of the road, accessibility is being seriously hindered. Wiley Road is a locally and an internationally recognized gem in the city of Kawartha Lakes. Please consider grading the road twice during the spring and summer season so that all visitors can safely and easily move up Wiley Road. Thank you.
Thank you. If you just stay there for a few minutes. Councillor Richardson.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming today and providing that information. It's a pretty amazing amount of numbers that you're seeing and recording, and that's very important. My question is, we do have an unassuming policy with the city. Are you not receiving those 2 seasonal grades currently?
No.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Councillor Warren.
And that was my question, but I also wanted to say that when I went to Frost Campus, I was up there and got to see some bluebirds. So that was very heartening. Thank you.
I get a motion to receive the deputation. Councillor Warren, Councillor Richardson. Councillor Yeo, you have a question? You're on mute. You're on mute.
Is that better?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I was in contact with the director, and I think he also sent an email that Wiley Road has in fact been being worked on in July in the unassumed area, and he's quite aware that it required service, and so I think it's being undertaken probably as we speak, or it's been finished recently. And I just wanted to, sorry, that wasn't a question, it was more of a comment, but I just wanted to applaud the deputant and all the birders because they bring a lot to the community, and it's great to see them out there. So we'll make sure that this road stays on the radar for the spring and summer gradings, and the director of Public Works is fully behind that as well. So thank you.
Thank you. So thank you for coming today, and I think your answer is that the director has committed to one grading before the end of July and probably another one in the fall. So you will get your gradings, and Councillor Yeo will follow up and make sure that happens.
I thank you.
Okay? All in favor? And that passes. Our next deputant is Frank and Ankie Arnold. Request for an entrance permit for land on Harvest Road and you have 2.5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dear Mayor and Councillors, after 2 years and 8 months, there's still no feasible solution for us to obtain an entrance permit, although staff has presented us with 2 options since our last presentation. Option 1, for us to build a road to city standards, is going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, take several years to complete, and be unlikely to be approved according to the city's own directive. And even if we wanted to go that route, we cannot even find an engineer since these professionals consider that undertaking almost ridiculous. Option 2, for us to purchase the road allowance, is estimated to cost $52,500 and still has unknown factors that may prevent the permit from being issued. Our first solution, to simply build a driveway, which we will call option 3, is not supported by the city's policies and zoning. So here we are. In addition, we have discovered that our problem results from a historical failure by the municipality to exercise due diligence. The creation of the property has been contingent on constructing a road for access and should have never been approved. So 2 years and 8 months after purchasing the property, we are still stuck with options that require investments in the hundreds of thousands, take years to complete, and are not guaranteed to result in an entrance permit. I'm talking about option 1, the road building, and option 2, purchasing the road allowance, or they are not supported by policies and zoning, which is our option of building a driveway. We have provided the support with our request for this presentation. I'm sorry, it was a lot. Therefore, we are asking Council to recognize that the construction of a road and the purchase of a road allowance by the property owners are not viable solutions. Instead, we ask to support the building of a driveway by extending an exception blanket approval to fulfill all conditions for the property owner to obtain an entrance permit by September 1st, 2024. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. I will tell you that I've been doing some work in the background, and I will be in touch with you in the next week to 10 days to get together again and see if we can't come up with a solution. So, Councillor Ashmore, do you want to give me a motion to receive the deputation and then ask your question?
Sure, yeah, motion, yeah.
And is there a seconder to that? Councillor Warren, go ahead with your question.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just to Anka and Frank, I wanted to thank you for the 2.5. I think it's close to 3 years that you've been working on this. I know it's been frustrating, and we've been going through the process, and we're working hard. Staff are working hard, but we need to come to some resolution sooner than later, and we need to get this completed. And I guess, do we have a timeline or something, Mr. Mayor? Like, do we? I know we've talked about it, but
I will be asking you to come to a meeting with the Arnolds in the next week to 10 days, and I think that there is a possible solution.
Okay, well, that sounds good. Thanks.
Mrs. Arnold?
Can we then amend the motion?
Well, you don't need to make a motion.
No, the request.
We will meet and see where we are with it, and if necessary, the councillor can bring a motion back to council, and we'll go from there. Okay?
So what if, like, you don't know yet? We will know in 10 days or whenever we meet.
A week to 10 days, I will
which
meet
we will
with
have
you.
to make time to as well. I mean, we spent a lot of time doing this presentation. If it comes to, like, I just want to cover all bases. I don't want to have to go through this again, and I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want to waste time for ourselves.
I understand.
So is there a way that we can amend the request to say failure there will be a solution before.
Well, you don't,
Mayor.
unfortunately, you don't get to make the motions. We get to make the motions.
A request, I said,
Okay.
did I say motion?
And
Request.
the motion right now is to receive your deputation, and I have promised you in public that I will meet with you in the next week to 10 days to try and work out a solution, okay? You good with that?
There's a boss.
All right. All in favor? And that's done.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming today. Our next item, our next deputation, item 6.4, Silverlight Senior Services, relating to item 8.1 on the agenda, Janice Loeb. Welcome, Ms. Loeb. You have 5 minutes, and go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm here to tell you about our family's personal journey with dementia and the difference that the organization Silverlights has made to our lives. My mother, Rosaline, is 94. She's a small, feisty Irish woman from Belfast. In October of 2021, my mom began the downhill progression of dementia, and by March of 2022, she was no longer safe in her own home. So we moved her into Adelaide Place, where she was no longer responsible for her meals and her medication. However, within a few months, they called me to say that she was no longer able to live there anymore due to her behavior. At that time, we also began the application process for long-term care, and you're all very aware of how long it is for the waiting list for long-term care. So Mom has a very challenging form of dementia and can be verbally and physically aggressive. So I applied for the Community Care Alzheimer's Day program, but at the time it was an 8 to 10 week waiting list, and we didn't really know how we were going to manage. Silverlights was opening the following week, and there was no waiting list, and fortunately Rosaline was in a position to afford the program. At the same time, I was unable to cope as the sole local caregiver for Rosaline. She was only sleeping a maximum of 2 hours a night, and her aggressive behavior had escalated, so I was exhausted. So the Silverlights team also provides PSW and nursing care and overnight care, and they became my saviors and did the night shifts for me. Luckily, Mom was placed into long-term care 6 weeks later due to a significant number of available rooms, unfortunately because of a COVID resurgence. Through the challenges of my mother's extreme form of dementia and the challenges that long-term care homes have faced through the devastating years of COVID, the nursing home staff have been amazing, and I'm so grateful for their care. However, I just want to give you a picture of what her day is like in the nursing home and what her day is like at Silverlights. During the day in the nursing home, there is one nurse and 3 PSWs to care for the more than 24 residents just on her wing. Staff are extremely busy, showering, dressing, meals, and so there is only one scheduled social activity for 1 hour and a little bit of one-on-one time. The remainder of the day, Mom wanders the hallways trying to escape. Thank goodness for WanderGuard bracelets, or she sits isolated in her room. She gets into verbal and physical altercations with staff and with other residents, and has frequent trips to emerge by both ambulance and by the police for unwitnessed falls and uncontrolled behavior. So again, my mom is in a position to afford the program, so she attends the Silverlights Day program 5 days a week, where she is a completely different person. Each morning when she arrives, her whole face lights up. She thinks it's her home. It's set up as a living room area, dining room, kitchen, and patio where they can go outside. She thinks the staff are her family, which they are, and the whole day is scheduled from when she arrives until when she leaves. She loves the meal prep, washing dishes, exercise, music, puzzles, crafts, gardening, and games. When her behavior becomes a challenge, they are trained to recognize the escalating behavior and redirect her before she is out of control. So there have been no trips in the ambulance or by the police from the Silver Lights program. And lastly, I attend the monthly family support meeting that Susan has started, and it has been so helpful. She focuses on the different topic each time, and she is wonderful at putting what family members are dealing with into perspective and offering great suggestions. I can't emphasize enough the difference that Silver Lights Day program has made to our lives, especially to the quality of life that my mom experiences each day. As the number of seniors increased dramatically in the city of Kawartha Lakes, I wish everyone was able to access this program.
Thank you. I have a motion to receive the deputation. Deputy Mayor McDonald, Councillor Smeaton. Councillor Smeaton, you have a question?
Just a quick comment. I just wanted to thank Janice very, very much for coming, and we're looking forward to Silver Lights presenting later in the agenda. So, thanks.
Perfect. Anything else? Anybody? Thank you very much for coming today. All in favor? And that passes. Our next deputation is Kim and John McKinnon. Telecommunications tower on Gilmar Road relating to item 7.3 on the agenda. You have 5 minutes. Please go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Kim McKinnon. I'm a resident of Ward 6. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My time is very short, so I'll get right to the point. We are here with the support of over 40 residents and more to come impacted by a cell tower being built on Gilmar Road. We ask today that council and staff not extend the permit to build this tower without further public consultation. The permit has expired. It is completely within the municipal government's hands to request Rogers Communications to follow the City of Kawartha Lakes policy and to follow the process that they're required to take in order to build this tower. In my research, I have been told by several people that the decision is in the hands of the federal government and that there's nothing I can do. I have confirmed with the people in the federal government who are responsible for the cell phone towers in the province of Ontario and the city of Kawartha Lakes. In fact, I've spoken personally to the Spectrum Management Officer. He has a very long title. His superiors, and the Office of the Innovation, Science, Technology, and Economic Development Offices, that this decision lies in your hands at this council. I know that their office has reached out to staff at the City of Kawartha Lakes to inform them of this fact. And I hope that you will listen to our request to not grant the extension to Rogers Communications at this time. And John will provide some more background information for you.
Yes, thank you. My name is John McKinnon. The federal government regulations requires that in order to build a cell phone tower that 5 requirements must be met. Based on our research, Rogers Communication, who is building this tower, did not meet any of them. Significantly, the cell tower must be built within 3 years of receiving approval. It's now been 4 years. We are asking, this council to not grant them an extension, which they would need in order to build this tower. One of the requirements that the government lists is the need for public consultation. Now, Kim and I personally contacted, as she said, about 40 households that live within the vicinity of where the cell tower is to be built. And of those 40, only 1 were aware that this cell tower was being built. So I don't really call that very good public consultation. For example, if you're going to rezone something, usually there's a big sign there informing the public of the request to rezone. No sign of any kind was put here. We were told that an advertisement was put in, whatever, the Kawartha Now newspaper 5 years ago. That newspaper is not delivered or even available in the area where this cell tower is to be built. We're not arguing that cell phone service doesn't need to be improved. It does. Anybody that's driven down Highway 36, you're dropping calls all the time. What we're asking for is that Rogers not be exempt from following the rules and regulations like the rest of us are if we want to make changes to our property or rent our place out for Airbnb. Just because they're $1 billion corporation doesn't mean they should be exempt from the rules. So what we're asking is that an extension not be granted until Rogers goes back, follows the procedure, the 5 regulations that are listed by the federal government, so that, you know, the tower can be properly discussed and where it's going to be put. Kim didn't mention this tower is about 700 meters from Sturgeon Lake. It's being built adjacent to a very large wetland that feeds directly into Sturgeon Lake. We contacted the Kawartha Conservation. They knew nothing about it, but so no environmental assessment was done. So just to summarize, we're just asking that an extension not be granted, that the process be started with proper public consultation, environmental assessment, etc. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Just stay there in case there are questions. Could I get a motion to receive Councillor Warren, Councillor Ashmore? Questions? Councillor Warren.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. How close is this cell tower to somebody's home?
I actually measured that today. I had my Garmin watch. It's 60 meters from one house. 60 meters. That's the length
close.
of this building. Now that's from entrance on the road to their driveway. I don't know exactly how far in the tower will be built. So, you know, you're probably talking less than 100 meters. But within 3/4 of a kilometer, there's probably 100 households.
So there was a cell tower to go in on Thurstonia Road many years ago that got stopped. Do you think that this is to replace the one that didn't get put onto Thurstonia Road? I guess you would never know that.
We don't know because there was no consultation whatsoever. So until approximately a month ago, none of the residents in this area knew anything about this.
Okay.
All we saw was that they'd cut down a bunch of trees. That was it. Right. So we thought, well, what's this about? And that's when the inquiry started.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, to Kim and John. Thanks for coming today, and we spent quite a bit of time on the phone and talking about it. And I know that when this came to council, I think it was 2020, it did get into the Lindsay this week. However, it was sort of like the solar farms, the wind turbines. You put if you do see that ad, if you're lucky enough to see the ad and to respond, like you said, many of the people are seasonal, and there's one that's right next to the tower, proposed tower, which is pretty discerning. But the people never had a chance to respond or give any comments. I know that it was the system's flawed. When you can't have comment by the public, and irregardless whether it's provincial, in this case it's a federal matter, just like somebody putting an airport next to you, you should have the right to at least put your comments in. So I believe, Mr. Mayor, it's coming to I'll extract it when the correspondence comes, so we'll be talking about it later in the agenda. So I'll propose a motion then. But thanks again for coming.
Thank you.
All in favor? And that's received. Thank you for coming today, and we will be discussing it in a couple of minutes when we get to correspondence. Thank you. And we are at correspondence. Item 7.1 is a request for resolution of support calling for investment in municipal infrastructure for Eastern Ontario's small and rural communities. and it's from Peter Eamon, the Chair of the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus. Can I get a motion? Councillor Warren. Councillor Smeaton. Wish to speak to it?
Oh, it's a good resolution, and I think we really have to support this. And I think this is something that you've been working on also, so good.
So you move it as printed? Do you wish to speak to it? Okay. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that's passed, and the motion is passed as printed. Item 7.2 is correspondence from the Township of Otonabee, South Monaghan, regarding regulations for the importation and safe use of lithium-ion batteries. The correspondence from the Township of Otonabee, South Monaghan, regarding regulations for the importation and safe use of lithium-ion batteries be received. I have a motion. Councillor Ashmore, seconder. Councillor Warren. Anybody want to talk to it? Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Like, I extracted this here because this is important that we have a neighboring municipality very concerned about this issue. Now, the reason I extracted it is because we're getting more and more of these. We've had two very serious fires and huge property damage from these types of batteries. Now, these batteries obviously are here, and they're going to be here to stay. However, in talking to the fire chief and researching it, the problem is it's a Wild West out there as far as these regulations are for storing these batteries. In the case, one was on Cottingham Road, and a brand new house was burnt in Rayboro. Luckily, no humans or animals were killed, but basically you have a very, very dangerous material in these batteries. They're prone to spontaneous combustion or thermal runaway, which is like a chain reaction, like what happens in nuclear bombs. It's a chain reaction, but these are very, very dangerous, and we need to have some sort of, insurance companies are actually to the point now where they're not allowing you to store your electric car if you have an electric car in a garage. So, I mean, we're getting to the point now where we have to look at this. And we almost had an incident. We had an incident a couple of weeks ago at a local marina, and luckily it was dealt with on shore. If this had happened in the lake, I'm not sure what the environmental effect would have been. But I guess what I'd like to do is, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the fire chief, like what his thoughts are on how we should handle these dangerous materials. Thanks.
Chief.
I guess I just can support Councillor Ashmore's that there is no legislation out there in the storage of these batteries, and as he alluded to, that we have had numerous, well, two major ones, but there's been some small instances. My major concerns are like apartment buildings and nursing homes, where we all know, all those scooters are stored within the hallways and stuff that, there's nothing really we can do, municipally. This needs to come through the government in regards to, some logical and legislated storage for these batteries. As the councillor stated, I mean, this isn't a problem that's going to go away at any time.
Thank you. Councillor Warren.
Through you, I think the salient point in this was that it is the Wild West. There are un-CSA approved batteries out there, and that's the issue. It's not all batteries are going to be, set on fire and in cars, because the ones in cars are probably approved by, for a better word, CSA approved. So what it is are the bad batteries coming into our country from who knows where that haven't gone through proper channels. So I think from reading into this, that was more the issue. So, but I do support some government agency looking into how we can stop unapproved lithium batteries from coming into Canada. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Richards.
Thank you, and through you, and both questions have sort of been answered through Chief Jones, just that the fact that this letter said, please contact the fire chief, and obviously that's where the concern is coming. Are we going to be able to do maybe a public education piece regarding, CSA batteries and just to remind folks that you've got to be careful of having these stored in your homes or around your homes? I was just a food for thought.
Thank you. Chief, if I can ask you, is the Fire Marshal's office concerned about this at all, and are they doing anything to push the government to act in any way that you know of?
That's you, Mr. Mayor. Also back to the councillors. We've had numerous public education seminars, and we have been putting that out in regards to what is safe and not safe in regards to the batteries and which ones you should be buying. As far as I know, the Fire Marshal's office is, anytime that we deal with any fire in regards to lithium batteries, there is a separate report that goes with our own fire reports. So they're certainly keeping the statistics on it. Am I aware, outside of what they're offering for actually the public education and training, of anything where they're going as far as the stoppage of selling and, storage? I'm not aware of any of that at this time.
Thank you. Councillor Ashmore.
Yeah, just finally, I think education is the key to this. So there are some that are substandard that are coming into this country. Unfortunately, they get through the system, and there has to be a way to monitor these, and fire services all throughout the country, they have to find new ways of putting these fires out. So they're a different animal, these lithium fires. So just thought I'd put it out there, and I think education is the key. So
thank you. We have a mover and seconder to receive this. All in favor? And that's done. Item 7.3 is correspondence regarding a telecommunication tower on Gilmar Road. That the correspondence be received. I get a motion? Councillor Smeaton, Councillor Ashmore. Councillor Smeaton, did you wish to speak to it? Councillor Ashmore, did you wish to speak to it?
yes, please. I'd like to make a follow-up motion, if I could, please, on that.
Okay, let's receive it first, and then we'll do the follow-up motion. All in favor? That's received. Councillor Ashmore, go ahead with your follow-up motion.
Thank you. That this report be received, and that public consultation be held with the temporary suspension of the approval of this project. If I can get a seconder just to discuss, I appreciate it.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Perry. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks for my seconder. So all the people are asking for is time to talk to the corporation, talk to the government, and get their point of view across. They're not anti broadband or cell tower, by no way. They are not. They've even said that, and neither am I. But people need to have their voices heard, and like I said before, the structure is flawed. Not our fault here locally, but federally, when these projects come about, the people really don't have much of a chance to voice their opinion because of how quickly it gets put out in the paper, and a lot of people don't catch it. So they just need they need that time. The public needs that time, and they'd appreciate your time. Like, there's at least 40 residents, probably we'll say close to 150 in that area, probably more than that, but I'm just putting that number out there. That's on the low side, that would just like to have the opportunity to talk to the corporation and have their questions answered. That's all they're asking for. So if we could get that, they would greatly appreciate it.
Councillor Perry, did you want to speak to it? You're on mute.
I think Councillor Ashmore has done a great job in summing that up.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, and through you, am I able to ask Director Barry a question at this time, or no? No?
Sure. Well, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, no, like I said, I have, I agree, about the public process, and I agree that, we went through the pandemic when this was announced. And one of the, mandates for that council and everyone else is, we got to fill in these cell caps. You have these cell towers that create connecting links to other cell towers, so you absorb those gaps. My question to the director is, based on that pandemic, there probably was a delay in that project. Do we feel that gave a significant, like we're hearing from our residents here that they didn't have prior or enough knowledge of what was going on? Is that something that we can, have wiggle room just based on the pandemic, or any thoughts? Just like I said, it's under the ISCD, which is the federal government. And even when the residents want to speak to it, they'll be speaking to them, not necessarily us, correct?
Sure, thanks for the question. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor. So, in fact, in response to exactly that point, that there were a series of delays to all sorts of activities, of course, during the pandemic, but in this portfolio in particular, the city actually amended its telecom policy to account for a process that would give proponents of these cell towers, telecom towers, an opportunity to ask for a reconcurrence. And that process is very different to applying for and receiving a letter of concurrence, or ultimately a letter of support from the city. The letter of concurrence is a letter that is issued by the Director of Development Services. The new policy from 2022 allows for discretion when reviewing the circumstances, that discretion to the director as opposed to council. And when a series of factors that are outlined in the policy at the city are met, then a decision is made on whether consultation is required in the case of a reconcurrence.
Sorry about that. So just for clarification for myself, so even if we were to extend a publication process, if we were to put that on the table for an additional time, those comments they do go to the federal, that group, right? The federal, not to us regarding concerns, that they need to address those concerns, or is it our issue? Just, honestly, I said I went through the pandemic, and my email was lighting up daily saying we've got too many cell gaps. We can't work from home. We can't teach the kids from home. Yada yada yada. So that was our mandate to push that through. I mean, maybe I'm not the best person to have a conversation around this, because within 1,500 meters of my house, I have 4 wind turbines and 2 cell towers, right? So I know that there is a process that we have to follow.
Sure, if I maybe, for the benefit of council and for the deputants who took the time to sort of engage council in the conversation, maybe could offer a couple of comments for context. So the proponent, SpectraSite, in this case, acting on Rogers' behalf, did file an application meeting the requirements of ISED, of course, the Department of the Federal Government, the Innovation, Science, and Economic Development that we've heard about through the deputation. So they did receive their ISED concurrence letter from us in 2021. There was a application process, starting with pre-consultation, actually, that even was a precursor to the application process itself. The pre-consultation was followed by filing of the application. The proponent engaged the public consultation process at that time, not only in publication in the local area newspaper, but also with mailing a information notice to residents within a radius of 225 meters from the base of the tower. And so that was sort of taking place 2019 to 2020 when staff presented their report outlining the circumstances to council. Following that, there were a series of discussions that took place that resulted in the development agreement being entered into between the proponent and the city, and that was a registered agreement, and that is still in effect. Following that, and of course working through the pandemic, the proponent also received the permits that they needed to have to commence construction activities. That was an entrance permit from the city and a permit from the Conservation Authority. So, passage of time, the permits had expired. The proponent was aware of that and reapplied to both the city and to the Conservation Authority for those permits. Those permits have been reissued for entrance and from the Conservation Authority, and I understand that is when the site clearing had started once the permits were in hand. And that was about a 6-month process in and of itself, just receiving those permits. So staff in the planning division have been in contact with the proponent and agree that a reconcurrence is the correct process to go through. For the benefit of council, reconcurrence is not the same as the initial application and first concurrence letter. There is a formal public consultation that is required under that process. But the same isn't in the policy that we follow for reconcurrence. And so from our read of that policy and our understanding of the ISED circulars that govern the process, what we see is that construction activities have commenced, the permits have been obtained, the contract has been awarded for the balance of the construction activities. So significant investment has been made in the project. When we look at the 4 factors that determine the steps to take for reconsideration or a letter of reconcurrence, that's the point we're at right now, is hearing the deputation and appreciate actually some of the questions and comments that were made, because there is, it sounds like, some misinformation that we would, be more than happy to connect with the deputants to share. And if there are specific questions, which it sounds like from the councillor's comments that there are, that those are questions that we hope to answer or can get answers directly from the proponent for them. That would be a natural part of this process anyway. So we'd like an opportunity to do that and continue on with the reconcurrence process from there.
So how does the public get the information? Is there a public meeting, or they write and get answers, or how does that work?
Yep, so we've heard the deputation today, and we'll share that with the proponent. Any additional questions? I mean, we can entertain those through planning division staff. It's probably fair to say through to the end of the month, and then provide those answers to those members of the public, the residents who've asked those questions. There's a series of either staff reports or summaries of the formal public consultation that took place, and that's the only public consultation that was required. There's a summary of that from that 2020 staff report. Happy to share that as well. But in terms of a formal consultation process, an open house, a meeting, there isn't a trigger for that in the policy for reconcurrence. Again, if this was sort of the first go-round, the initial application, there is a consultation period required. But that's not the case with the reconsideration part of the process that we're in now, when those 4 criteria are met in the policy. And for the benefit of council, Mr. Mayor, the 4 criteria speak to legislation that's in place, policies that are in place, adjacent land uses if they've changed, and the time since construction activity has either commenced, or when how long the time period has been since the expiration of the concurrence.
Thank you. Councillor Warren.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So these folks have no recourse because we've already started the process. We're down the road. They're actually doing clearing. So what recourse do these folks have, if any?
Sure, Mayor, through you to the councillor. We are happy to answer any questions that are posed to us. There were some concerns that sounded like an adjacent wetland, and we, again, would receive those questions and answer them as a sort of normal part of the service that we offer in planning.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, again. I've had a little bit of background in this, that there was a cell tower on Thurstonia, which I talked to previously, and it was like 50 feet away from this fellow's front door. And that's why I asked the question, how close are you? How close is the closest home to the cell tower? Because it was like right there. It was, yeah. So, and they stopped it at that point. But, so the recurrence process, really at this point, you're just going to answer their questions and their concerns, but nothing can change. They can't relocate the tower into an area that's not so populated.
Mr. Mayor, through the councillor, so nothing has changed in terms of the details of the project since its original application, which is one of the considerations, as well as the consultation, the circulation that had taken place, and the responses that were received at that time. So those pieces all factor into our determination on whether a reconcurrence should be issued or not. So that's where we're at right now. That is a decision that's to be made by the director, and I'd like to be able to have those conversations with the residents, listen to what the questions are and answer them before we make our final decision to issue a letter.
They've already started clearing land, so it sounds like you really can't go backwards, even though you talk to the people, the deputants. That's my question. So if you've already started the build, how can you stop it?
Thanks to the councillor. So Spectra Site, the proponent, are willing to work with the city, and they are acting in accordance with what their permits that they've obtained allow them to do. So as far as the site clearing goes, there haven't been any activities undertaken that are untoward. So we will notify and speak with Spectra Site in terms of aligning with where we're at in our consideration of their concurrence request before they can move forward.
Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Yeah, through you, thank you. Yeah, a lot of conversations on this. I think, give the director a chance to talk to these people and get all the questions they need and answers they need on it. And I think that's where it should go and the conversation should go, is between, the people who did the deputation today and of course, Councillor Ashmore is the rep. So give them a chance to talk to the director and get their answers that they need, and maybe they'll come back to us.
Can we hear the motion?
Just to receive the correspondence.
There was a follow-up to that.
The motion on the floor is that public consultation be held with the temporary suspension of the approval of this project.
So with the work that's gone on, is that contrary? That it be suspended? If it was just that public consultation be held, does that fit in better?
Thanks for the question. I think that the opportunity to engage with the residents is the adequate and appropriate consultation. And to reiterate my comments to Councillor Warren, that the proponent is working with the city and will await their letter of reconcurrence until they commence with any further construction activities. It, to me, sounds like that is captured by the follow-up motion.
Thank you. Councillor Ashmore, you want to sum up?
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for the comments, and I appreciate this. But just getting back to the notices, there were no notices, no notices sent to adjoining landowners. The only notice were one or two notices in the paper. So that's unacceptable. The people did not have a chance to consult with the corporation or the consultant, Spectra, their name is, out of Newmarket, I believe it is. And there's other options. They were never allowed to talk about or ask questions about options, location, height, the impact on the environmental area there. So these people are under a lot of stress, and I feel it, and I think we owe it to them. We are in charge, us, the elected officials here. With all due respect, we can make this decision because we are the elected officials and we're the ones in charge. I would ask for a recorded vote if I could, please. And just before that, I want to say that I'm very pro broadband and for the cellular tower. But I just feel that we can't just, there's no guarantee. This tower could go up within these towers, they only take a couple of weeks to go up. And it could be constructed just like that within the next 2 weeks. So it's a very tight time frame. They don't take long to get up. And the people just need time to comment. This tower will be built, but the people at least need their chance to have their word, to have their say. So that's all I'm asking for. That's all they're asking for. And that's what I'm proposing. So I appreciate the director's comments, but I just feel that this gives more strength, more teeth, and it gives more protection to the people.
Thank you. Recorded vote asked for.
Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Still a little confused on this motion because the motion is to deny that the tower goes up, and is that?
No.
No, it's to suspend it until public consultation takes effect.
In favor.
Councillor Gill.
In favor.
Councillor Warren.
In favor.
Councillor Smeaton.
In favor.
Councillor Richardson.
In favor.
Councillor Perry.
In favor.
Councillor Joyce is absent. Councillor Ashmore.
In favor.
Mayor Elmsley.
In favor.
Sorry.
Yep. 8 in favor, 0 opposed. Motion passes. Moving on. Item 8 is presentations, and item 8.1 is Silver Light Senior Services Overview Presentation. Tammy Adam and Susan Fisher. We'll just wait a minute until they come in. Thank you. And after the presentation, we'll do a break. Good afternoon, ladies. Whenever you're ready, you can go ahead.
Thank you for having us. We're going to start with just a quick promotional video of our Adult Day program for dementia.
Our Adult Day Program for Dementia is a specialized program designed to provide a safe and stimulating environment for people living with the disease. These services include therapeutic activities such as art, music, and pet therapy, intergenerational visits, reminiscing and music therapy, physical exercises, and sensory and cognitive stimulation delivered by a highly trained recreation therapist.
I've been here for 2 months and I feel like I've been here for years, not in a good way. It's a family. We love each other. I've gotten to know the clients. I've gotten to know their families. And I feel that I am doing the job that I was put on this earth to do.
I want them to feel that everyone here loves them and cares for them, because we really, really do. Coming to work and getting to make a difference in anyone's life means the world to me.
The Adult Day program here is needed in the Kawartha Lakes. There has never been this type of day program specifically for dementia and Alzheimer's. So I know if there's any families out there that need a break, a little bit of respite, or feel like their loved one should have some more social, please drop by the office here at the Adult Day program and have a look, and you can see what goes on in here. You'll be very, very impressed.
So for any families that are caregivers for someone living with dementia or Alzheimer's, I just can't say enough about the Silver Lights program. It is absolutely fantastic. Every day my mom's face lights up when she enters the facility.
Say enough to describe how welcoming and the feeling of love that Tom gets when he arrives at the Adult Day program. And at night, when it's time for him to go, he never wants to go. He never shuts up. He says, blah, 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 blah. And finally, we have to convince him to go.
I truly cherish my work here at the Adult Day program, and it's been an absolute honor to be a part of getting this program up and running in the city of Kawartha Lakes. Every day our clients come here and I get to witness these amazing friendships, their laughter, and I get to see the essence of who they were and celebrate who they are. And it's an absolute honor to be here offering support to the clients as well as support to the families, whether it be some advice, a listening ear, or just a shoulder to cry on.
Kiss me, my sweet, then let us. For when I grow too old to dream, your love will live in my heart.
Yeah, so once again, I want to thank you for having us here, and Eric, thank you for making that possible. So I'm Tammy Adams, started Silver Lights in 2018. I started it to fill in the gaps of certain healthcare services. After COVID, when families moved out loved ones from long-term care, we filled in the gaps with PSW care. Since then, it's continued to grow into different areas with the rise of dementia. It's grown from the community PSW care into the Adult Day program, which we started almost 2 years ago, and I'm going to let Susan talk to it. She's the one that's done all the programming and
I'm Susan Fisher. I'm the Managing Director at Silver Light Senior Services. My background is in long-term care. I've worked in long-term care management for over 20 years before making the jump to Silver Light Senior Services to help Tammy run the business. So first of all, I just want to make this a little bit interactive for a second. When I say the words dementia and Alzheimer's, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Forgetful. Sadness. Maybe one more? What's that? Someone we know, exactly. So how many people in this room have been affected by Alzheimer's or dementia in one way or another? Yeah. And all of those things that you said are very true about Alzheimer's and dementia. However, they're also very negative. So at our Adult Day program for dementia, we are changing the face of dementia, and we're starting here in the Kawartha Lakes. We follow a program called Dementiability. Dementiability was founded by Gail Elliott from Burlington, Ontario, and it has become a global phenomenon. Even people in Hong Kong are starting to follow the Dementiability methods. What is Dementiability? Well, it's a way of taking care of people by learning about their lives, who they used to be and who they are now. This helps us as healthcare professionals and caregivers to care for them in a better way and give them meaning and purpose in their daily lives. Just like us, they want that meaning and purpose when they get up in the morning, and our day program is one way that they can do it. There's a certification that you can get for Dementiability, and it's a very long, grueling process, but in the end, it shows that we understand the concepts and that we practice them on a daily basis. And we are proud to say that we are the only Dementiability certified facility in all of Kawartha Lakes, and only one of 6 in all of Ontario. Sorry. Can we go back one? There. So why did we start this program?
There was a very high need in the community. Used to get a lot of phone calls from families, exhausted, in tears, wondering how they can get a break so that they continue to care for their families, their loved ones. When the Jennings Creek Day program closed permanently during COVID, it never reopened. The wait list for Community Care Day program is long, like Janice had mentioned. It's been both of our dreams to be able to do this. We've both personal experience with dementia that has motivated us too. And the best part of this is in the mornings, our office now, we can see the caregivers coming out after they've dropped their loved ones off, and you can see the relief inside of them go. They have 6 hours to go and do what they want to do, recharge, everything. It's an amazing feeling to know that we're helping.
And for me, 3 years ago, my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, and it completely shook our family right down to the core. Being a professional in the field, when it happens in your family, it hits you very, very differently. So I can relate to all of these caregivers on that personal level, knowing exactly how they feel every day and exactly what it's like to be able to drop your loved one off and not have to worry about them for the whole day. And this is a testimonial from one of our caregivers. So for my 93-year-old mother, the Silver Lights Day program is heaven sent, and I don't say this lightly. I literally prayed for help, and the next day I saw the ad for Silver Lights. The staff are wonderful. They're warm and kind, and they always make Mom feel welcome and needed. It is very important for my mother to feel productive, and Silver Lights has so many activities that keep her active, both mentally and physically, that it lifts her spirits, and at the end of the day, she never fails to tell me how much she enjoyed herself. The staff quickly found out my mother's love of music, art, and dance, and they have provided many opportunities for her to express herself creatively. She also loves all the social interaction with the other members of the group. As Mom's dementia became more pronounced, I realized how important it was to provide her with the most stimulating environment possible. Silver Lights turned out to be the perfect answer to my prayers. This way, she can still live at home with us, and while she is at Silver Lights during the day, I can get on with my work and have peace of mind, knowing that she's happy, busy, and well cared for. A very grateful daughter, Margaret Robinson. So as of January 1st, 2024, almost 800,000 people in Canada are living with dementia. And every day, more than 350 people in Canada are diagnosed with dementia. That's equivalent to more than 15 people per hour. By 2030, it's estimated that nearly 1 million people in Canada will live with dementia. And how does that relate to us here in Kawartha Lakes? By 2031, I understand that there's going to be around 6,500 new homes expected to be built in the city of Kawartha Lakes, with 2 or more people living in each household. So my question is, how many of these people will be living with dementia? How many of these people will be caregivers and need support? And are we prepared for this as a city? Are there enough supports for them? Are there enough supports for the people providing that support for them as well? Thank you so much for having us here today. We really appreciate it. And thank you so much, Eric, Councillor Smeaton, for having us. I also want to throw in there that our clients pay a daily fee to come to our Adult Day program. The day program is in the hole every month, yet we continue to push forward in every way we possibly can because we have a lot of families and a lot of clients who are counting on us every day. We received the 2022 New Horizons for Seniors grant, but we have been unsuccessful ever since, and we have gotten no feedback as to why. And we have not been successful in obtaining any other financial support. We enter all of those, small grant contests like the Desjardins Good Spark grant and the Stand With Owners from TELUS. However, every year we are unsuccessful in obtaining any financial aid.
And right now, because my community PSWs, that part of my business is doing okay. So right now it's supporting the staffing of the day program. But if it goes down in numbers, how everything fluctuates or whatever, I don't know what'll happen to the day program. But we want to thank you guys very much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Just before I get questions here, I've got a lineup. Do you know of the 100-man evenings?
Yes, we are familiar with those, and we have actually in talks with members of that group. So we are hoping to speak with them. We actually did a presentation last year, and it was all the, I don't know what it was called, it was all the gentlemen from the Legion and the churches and Masonic lodges. And we did a presentation for them, which was amazing, so the word is getting out there.
And they were generous and gave us a nice check for $800. Yeah. Yes.
Well, there's a couple of people in the room who belong to that group, and I think they may bring your name forward.
That's
anyway.
Wonderful. We appreciate that for sure.
Can I get a motion to receive the presentation? Councillor Smeaton, Councillor McDonald, and Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor, thank you very much for coming today and, showing us your program. And I know I've been to your facility before you've moved, and you're right, I shouldn't say forgettable, I should really say happy, because the folks there were very, very happy. And so we do recognize that. I guess my one question is, you kind of alluded it to the end of your presentation about that funding. So where are those specific challenges when it comes to the province and maybe the federal government that you folks are really feeling?
Well, unfortunately, anything that we've applied to, we don't ever receive feedback as to why we were not successful in receiving funding. Even when I reach back out and ask, what can we do differently next time? Is there a reason? I always like to know, because the next time you go to do it, you can fix that, right? And they don't give me any responses. So I wish I could answer that question, but unfortunately, we don't know why.
A lot of the grants are for capital money and not operating money.
Right.
So that it may have something to do with that. They want to see you building something or buying something or doing something rather than day-to-day operations. So I'm not sure if that's a reason why you haven't been successful in some of them.
It could be.
Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for coming today. I had the honor to come to your open house when you opened there, and as soon as you walk in the door, you'll feel love, you know. So thank you for all the hard work you do and so on. It's a disease that is definitely catching on, and we definitely need help on that. I am one of those guys that sit on the 100 Men Club, so maybe I'll put a good word in there and we'll see what we can do. So.
We would appreciate that.
But
Thank you.
thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to, and thanks Tammy and Susan for coming today and your care and compassion for the residents there. I know that, you know, it's not cheap to run a facility, and you need the best, and you have the best right now working there and the facility itself. But have you tried Legacy Trust Funds and the Kawartha Foundation perhaps as a long-term solution to your funding? Or I know it's always a battle trying to get funding, but and sponsors and that sort of thing. But what is your main source of income right now?
Right now, it's coming from the community, my Silver Lights community program, because one of them is the staffing is expensive. I pay my staff what they're worth, and a good wage, and it's the rent. I know it's on my property, but it's still separate. It's still counted in there. Utilities, food. We serve hot meals all day. We do that. The staffing is number one because we have to have enough staff in there. Safety-wise, we want to have that. It's possible to do one staff per 6, but that's not safe. So there's generally 3, and then we're around too. So
yeah, and especially if you're dealing with individuals with responsive behaviors, people who could potentially become physically aggressive or verbally aggressive or exit seek. We need to have the qualified and the trained staff working in the adult day program to ensure that each of the clients are safe and receiving the individualized care that they deserve.
And we have received some funding through VCSS for training through the Ontario grants, but I think we were able to train 4 with dementia ability, but for the last year, however, it depends on when you get it in or whatever, they haven't covered any. The dementia ability training is very expensive. So everyone that's there now, we have that training, but it is expensive. And we have to keep doing the ongoing training.
Thank you. Councillor Ward.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for coming and doing the presentation. There's also an organization, 100 Women Who Care, which I'm a member of. So, but you have to pitch it. You have to actually put it in and have somebody pitch it for you. So I could help you with that. Just a thought. I know you're a private business, but have you thought maybe making part of your business a not-for-profit? And
we were talking to Eric about it.
I think that you would probably, if you could split it up somehow, and you'd probably have more luck getting grants. So that was my thought.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Councillor Smeaton.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just quickly, it was seeing June and Martin was a little sad there since he's passed soon, and Tom sent an email just to say publicly too how much, how incredible you all are. Your hopes at budget time seem to represent a local trend that's a trend across Ontario. So my question to you was, there's 5 other certified dementia ability facilities. Do you have contact with those other 5 as it approaches budget time and you're thinking through needs and trying to explain to us what your specific needs are? Do you know those other facilities well and how they operate?
So they are. believe the majority of them are actually long-term care facilities that have been certified. So basically that means that the dementia, the so-called dementia unit of their home follows all of the dementiability practices, and they've become certified. So it's not quite the same avenue as ours, unfortunately, but that's a great idea. We could maybe reach out to some of the other, if there are any other day programs that are certified, we could reach out to them and see where they're at and how they're operating.
But we do have Gail Elliott that owns that. We have contact with her every day if we need to, if we're struggling with a behavior or anything. She makes a Zoom call possible as soon as possible, and she works through everything with us so that we always have her support.
Thank you. And thank you again for coming today and your presentation. We have a motion to receive the presentation. All in favor? And that's passed. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take 10 minutes and come back at 5 to 3, 2:55. Okay, I'll call the meeting back to order. Next up, we have Planning Advisory Committee. I have a motion that the minutes of the July 10th, 2024 Planning Advisory Committee meeting be received and the recommendations included in section 9.3 of the agenda be adopted. Councillor Richardson, Councillor Warren. Any comments or questions? There are no extractions, so all in favor? And that's passed. Next up, we have consent matters, and I think, Councillor Richardson, you have that motion.
I certainly do. Thank you, through you. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor McDonald, that all the proposed resolutions shown in section 10.1 of the agenda be approved and adopted by council in the order that they appear on the agenda and sequentially numbered, save and except for the following: 10.1.2, 10.1.6, 10.1.7, 10.1.8, 10.1.9, and 10.119.
Thank you. We have a mover and seconder. All in favor? And that's passed. Councillor Ashmore is not here at the moment. We'll move on to 10.16. Councillor Perry, that's your extraction. Councillor Perry? No, he's not there. Oh. Councillor Perry, your extraction, 10.16, Gardner Shore. Okay, we can't hear you or see you. I'll have Councillor Warren do that. Oh, hang on, there he is. 10.16, Councillor Perry. You're on mute.
Thank you. No, I'm just returning after the break. 10.16. This is, we're talking about the portion of the road allowance. Is that correct?
Gardner Shore, 32 Gardner Shore.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. I'll just speak briefly to this, Your Honor. And Mr. Stone, the property owner who is seeking to purchase this portion of the road allowance, gave a deputation to council. So I'll refer councillors to the deputation of the resident, Mr. Stone. This has been a long-standing issue. I know you, Mr. Mayor, as former councillor for Ward 3, were involved at its inception, and there has been a lot of difficulty with ascertaining where the road allowance is, where the lines are, according to different maps and different resources. And really, what's being sought here is a purchase to include the well, which is adjacent to the existing property, which is kind of in dispute as to whose property is where. However, Mr. Stone is looking to purchase the property to shore that up. I know you'll see in the package, fellow councillors, there was some concern raised that perhaps purchasing the property would possibly, in the future, impede possible growth of or widening and for a turnaround area there in for the city. However, there remains lots of room. The mayor and I visited this site a few months ago, and it does proceed on to other properties. And so, I'd like to move that the alternative be considered as proposed in the staff report here, that staff be directed to proceed with the request to purchase this portion of land. The wording is there, adjacent to 49 Gardner Shore Avenue, Fenelon Falls, per the disposition procedures set out in CP 2021-033, disposal of real property policy, and bylaw 2018-020, disposition of municipal real property as amended. That's language provided in the staff report. I trust the clerk has it, so I didn't read it too slowly. And Mayor, I know you've had carriage of this file internally for the past few months. So I'll, make that motion. And if I could get a seconder, that would be great. And perhaps I could then put it to you, Mayor, for any updates that your work has to be brought forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Warren, seconder, do you wish to speak to it? Thank you. I'll just reiterate a bit of what Councillor Perry said. This has been a long-standing issue, ongoing. The deputant has had at least 2 surveys done. I was out there with Ms. Dyer, with manager Chris Porter, and with Mr. Farquhar from the engineering department, and they all agreed that the way it was set up, allowing Mr. Stone to take this small parcel of land is not going to impact on the road allowance at all. At that juncture, I think it's 120 feet across. Most of our road allowances are 66 feet. And we make turnarounds at 66 feet, so I don't think we're going to have a problem at 120 feet. And he has no issue. The property he wants sits in a bunch of bushes, and I don't even think he's going to have to move his garbage bin a foot in order to accommodate what he wants to do. So I think this is a good motion, and it puts something to rest and helps the homeowner out. Thank you. So we have a mover and seconder. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? And that passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. We'll go back and do 10.1.2. Councillor Ashmore, you had extracted the bylaw on long grasses and native plants.
Thank you. Just a question, so like through you to, I guess, Ms. Carlson. So I just wanted to ask if the certain areas that are going to be designated to be allowed to have the long grasses, how do we differentiate between the grasses and noxious weeds that we see and we're told like we have to control and cause health issues and the like? How are we going to be dealing with that once these areas are designated or applied for and they can grow the long grasses and from there?
So in many areas of the municipality, long grasses and native plants already can be in excess of 8 inches. And so in these locations, if there's a complaint that the Weed Control Act, which is a provincial act, is being violated, that there's some noxious weeds on a property, bylaw is called and they go out and they take a look at the property. And if they determine that there is a noxious weed, listed weed, and you'll see the entirety of the act attached to the report. If one of those 25 weeds are present, the homeowner is asked to remove the weed.
Would that apply? That'll apply to what we already have right now then in the greater town of Lindsay, for example, as an example. So if there's properties right now that are being left and they're growing these weeds, are they going to be dealt with now? Which it's happening right now. So how do we control that? I know that's a bylaw issue, but there's properties that have ragweed, hogweed, wild carrot, wild parsnip, poison ivy. So I mean, it's already there. That's what worries me, is that these grasses, I mean, grasses have a purpose, I know that, but the noxious weeds do sometimes follow when these are left unchecked, so that's kind of my concern.
So some of the items that you mentioned are noxious. I believe wild carrot is not. However, if there is a noxious weed present, then there's a call that needs to be made by the person who notices the noxious weed That call is to bylaw, and then bylaw would enforce the Weed Control Act.
Are you moving the motion, or does anybody want to move this motion? Councillor Warren, seconder. Councillor Richardson, want to speak to it?
Sure. Ms. Carlson and I have spoken and about this bylaw, and I think it can evolve because I envision this bylaw to allow really nice pollinator gardens. You're always going to have the odd person, and we already do, that let their lawns go and it's unsightly and whatever. But the whole idea is this, to promote pollinators, not just bees, all sorts of birds. It's and really good for the environment. And turf grass isn't. And actually, that's one thing that maybe down the line I'd like change, because turf grass is kind of not very good for anything in the environment. So I'd like to work with the solicitor and maybe even bring back a even better bylaw down the line. But this is a really good start, and I hope you'll support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson, do you want to speak to it? No? Anybody else? Anybody want to weigh in? Seeing none, all in favor? And that passes. Our next extraction is 1017, Councillor Warren, asset retirement obligation.
Yeah, I just had a question. So going through pipelines lately, would pipelines for gas be part of those stranded assets? I don't know who.
Yes, it's me.
Oh, it's you.
Through you to the councillor. I don't know if we own any pipelines, and it would only be the pipelines that we owe, that if they have some sort of obligation to improve the asset prior to it being sold or prior to determining a value, then it would apply. But I know that we looked at water pipes and there weren't anything that we found.
I'm just not sure about the stranded assets in 10 years when, you know, it's up to us to dig those up or take care of them. And I just wondered if that was part of the scenario. So that's.
Yeah, I think it's only the assets that we own.
Okay.
So, yep.
And I'm not sure if we end up owning those or not. So, eventually.
I don't think we do.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I don't think we do.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I'll move the recommendation as printed. Thank you for popping in.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Yeo. Do you wish to speak to it, Councillor Yeo? No? Okay. And you're fine, Councillor Warren? Do you want to sum up or no? Okay. All in favor? And that passes. Next up is 1018, which is high water bill relief. Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Thank you, through you. Just going to take you back in time a little bit. We talked about this, a deputation on May 21st, 8 O'Connell Court, roughly from November to January. Then they had their meter changed and water bill come in that was roughly $1,200 over what they used to use, around 76,000 gallons of water. They had local 3 plumbers in there. We couldn't find anything. Linda Letty was great. We got the meter back. We sent it back. We couldn't find anything in the meter. We've done everything we could to see what we could find the problem was. They were away for 2 weeks, but they also had somebody in the house that looked after the dog. So no leaks were addressed at that time. So very, very confusing where all this water went, their young family and so on. But I think I got a resolution. I'm going to go back to our, section 11 when it says obvious or hidden leaks, 11.13. And the calculation basically says, and it's in our policies to do this, that the calculation is as 50% of the difference between the high water bill and the average consumption to the max of $1,500. So I'm going to make a motion. I'll get a second. The motion is that council approved relief under the high water bill adjustment policy of $646.56 or 50 cents as a one-time exemption for the same property owners. That's my, if I get a second, I can even.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Ashmore.
And again, thank you for that. We've gone through council before that this is the policy and so on, but I think we're doing things, and I just ask a question for Linda. My understanding now, do we have a pilot program or anything happening right now in the city?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, thanks for the question. We are targeting a pilot program where we'll have a different technology and we'll be able to actually do more regular reads. So currently, the City of Kawartha Lakes is divided into 3 geographical areas. We read those areas every quarter, so every 3 months. It's a little difficult sometimes to be proactive in terms of servicing our clients when there is high consumption. It's not until after we read the meter that we know that obviously there's been an anomalous consumption for that 3-month period. So the target is for us for fall as a launch. It's a pilot project, approximately about 150 accounts. We'll sort of start to see some data on an hourly rate, and the hope is 2025 we'll be able to actually look at that wholesale for the city, for the town of Lindsay.
Okay, thank you for that. So, like I said, I'm going back to my motion is I'd like to get all the money for the person, but I think we need to stick to the policies that we have in place, and I believe this is reasonable. And again. That council approves providing relief under the high water bill adjustment policy of $646.50 as a one-time exemption for this property owner.
Thank you. Councillor Ashmore, do you wish to speak to it?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Seeing no one? All in favor? And that passes. Next up is 1019, which is the special rate area tax levy update. Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you. Through you to Finance, maybe Director Daines or someone could.
Yeah, she didn't get a promotion yet.
That's
She's
sorry,
only
Manager
Daines.
I apologize for not extracting this earlier to give it a heads up. Just a question on what my question is that I've read this here report, but is there a 100% guarantee that it's revenue neutral? Because when I'm looking at it, street lights divided into 5 categories: street lights, parks, fire, police, and transit, which are all unique in their own way. Is this going to be revenue neutral for sure, or is it? Because have they done extensive calculations on areas? There's so many different areas in the city where it may overlap or whatever, but that's what some people are concerned, that it may be not revenue neutral. But could I get a further explanation on that to sort of?
Well, transit and police aren't included, right?
Yeah, depending where you are. If you're in Lindsay or Ops.
If you're Lindsay Ops,
yeah.
you pay for Kawartha Lakes Police Service and you pay transit. If you're outside of that area, you pay OPP, but you don't pay any transit. The other 3 that are being proposed are not quite revenue neutral, but very close. And the rationale is people come into Lindsay. We don't know how many people come in and use the parks. We don't know how many people come in and, they go to urban areas and they enjoy the fact that there are streetlights. So we're a city now. People move around. Anyway, didn't mean to steal your thunder, Ms. Volkable.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to pass it over to Manager Liotti in a moment. I did just want to take opportunity. The author on the report is our new Supervisor of Revenue and Taxation, Sarah Flaherty, who jumped right in. I think it's week 4 on the job. I won't get into the semantics or the analytics. I'll let Manager Liotti do that. But exactly to your point, Mr. Mayor, there is no way to ascertain what service any particular resident enjoys in the city. We don't track our people where they move. We don't know what parks they go to. We don't know what streetlights they use. And I'll just further clarify that we only area rate the operations. All of the tax levy supports the capital. So you're not really truly area rating anyways, but I'm going to pass over the logistics to Manager Liotti.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So it's a great question because I think there is some concern or some misunderstanding. In terms of the revenue neutral piece, we actually the tax levies are generated based on our budgetary need. So we're not generating any additional revenue through the special rate area. They're aligned with the expenditures of the services that we provide for that specific resident. So if that answers your question, it's not a revenue generator at all. So this example that you see in front of you is predicated based on our 2024 budgetary numbers. Those did not change.
Councillor?
That's fine, thanks. I appreciate
Are you moving the motion?
As long as it's as if everything turns out the way it says it will be, that's fine. I'll move it then.
Is there a seconder? Deputy Mayor McDonald, do you wish to speak to it at all?
No, I'm fine.
Deputy Mayor. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? And that's passed. Our last extraction is 1019, which is parking restrictions on Mary Street West. Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Thank you again, through you. Been working on this for a while now, is on Mary Street there where we have 2 seniors' homes, we have a school. We've done the calculation on there. Mr. Kelly and I actually drove it again. We've drove it a few times. We drove it again last week and reviewed a couple other things, and the recommendation that we have a couple of recommendations, and I have one myself that he fully supports, and so on. And the reason for that is that when you're on Mary Street with an S-turn, all the people passing on the S-turn, there's 4, like you got 2 seniors' homes, your people are driving in, driving out, your opening door on an S-turn, very dangerous, and even cleaning the snow in the wintertime, it's a big deal. But anyway, I have a motion here, and if I have a second, I'll discuss it.
Go ahead.
Yes, my recommendation is with the consulting with Mr. Kelly and so on, is that the request for parking restrictions from Mary Street West Lindsay be received, that the parking on Mary Street be restricted on both sides of the street from Angeline Street South to the 40-kilometer east of Wilson Avenue, and that a center line and parking restriction marking be established on Mary Street West through the S-turn, locating just between Wilson Avenue and Angeline Street South. And if it's necessary, bylaw recommendation will be forwarded by council if adopted. So, and my other request is that it's be done this year. I think it's very important and it should be done this year. It should have been done a couple of years ago, but anyway, it should be done hopefully in the 4th quarter. We're only talking, the number I have here is like $10,000 or less. So that's my request.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Smeaton, you second. Councillor McDonald, can you repeat your motion, please?
That the parking on Mary Street West be restricted on both sides of the street from Angeline Street South to a point 40 millimeters east of Wilson Avenue, and that the center line and parking restriction markings be established on Mary Street West through the S-turn located between Wilson Avenue and Angelina Street South.
Did you say millimeters?
Well, it says 40 M east, so I don't know what he means by that.
I
so-
think it's 40 meters.
Meters, yeah.
I think Mr. Kelly's on the line if he wants. I don't know if we can. Is he there?
Yes, hi, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor McDonald. It's 40 meters. Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor Smeaton, did you wish to speak to it?
Just that it's a great idea, and we're all here in town a lot together, so I really commend you for being so dogged on this one, and with the department. It's going to add a lot of good things to that area, I think, for a whole host of reasons, so that's great.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, would you turn off your mic? Thanks. Councillor Richardson, did you have something?
Yeah, just a comment as well supporting that. I do use that road on a weekly basis. I'm a caregiver for my uncle at Crescent Care there. And trust me, I've a few close calls, and it is a bit of a wiggle through that area. So I'm a big fan of this idea. So thank you, Deputy Mayor.
So it could be called Hail Mary Street, is that? Okay. We have a mover and seconder, all in favor? And that's passed. That's the end of our consent agenda. Moving on to petitions. Item 11 is 11.1 is a request for resurfacing of Lightning Point Road between Highway 35 and South Fork Road. This is an electronic petition with 28 signatures. Councillor Warren, did you wish to do something?
So
with-
there was, through you, Mr. Mayor, there was already a resolution made earlier. Would it be redundant making another one, or you said we're going to be talking about it again, so.
So we can just receive it, and the petition is going to go, the deputation and petition will go to the roads study.
So I'll make a motion, another motion then, that the petition go to the road study also.
Okay, is there a seconder? Councillor Richardson. All in favor? And that's passed. Next petition is a request for the resurfacing of County Road 41. A copy of the petition with 108 signatures is available at the city clerk's office for viewing. Can I have a motion to receive that and refer it to staff and the roads committee? Emmett, are you moving that? Okay, seconder?
Yes, sir.
Seconder is Councillor Warren. Did you want to speak to it?
Just let's get it there and get it looked after because it needs it. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Warren, do you want? All in favor? And that's passed. Other and new business, we have a memorandum regarding the parking lot at Coronation Hall. And the motion is that the memorandum from Councillor Ashmore regarding a parking lot for Coronation Hall Omemee be received, and that Realty Services staff investigate the purchase of or a parking lease agreement for the lot adjacent to Coronation Hall Omemee. And the staff report back to council in Q4 2024. Councillor Ashmore, do you want to speak to it?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this has been something that previous members of council have brought up, councillors have brought up, and I think it's something that we're looking at. This is the only community center in the city of Kawartha Lakes where there's zero parking. There's two parking spots at the back for staff. But this is just asking for a report to see what it would cost to either lease or buy purchase the lot next door. So leasing would be fine. Just a staff report, that's all I was asking for, please.
Is there a seconder for that? Deputy Mayor McDonald. Do we speak to it more, or?
No, that's fine, thanks. I appreciate your support.
Deputy Mayor?
It's worth having a look at and see what it's going to cost and bring back to council.
Great. Anybody else? No? All in favor? And that's passed. Moving on to bylaws. Deputy Mayor McDonald, I believe you have the motion for bylaws.
Yes, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Richardson, that the bylaws shown in section 13.1 of the agenda, namely 13.1.12 and including 13.1.22, and read for the first, second, and third time, pass numbered sign, and the corporate seal attached, save and accept 13.1.20.
Thank you. All in favor? And that's passed. Extracted bylaw 13.120. The first motion is that the bylaw to amend bylaw 2023-179, being a bylaw to regulate parking in the city of Kawartha Lakes, be read a first and second time. I have a mover and seconder for that. Councillor Richardson, Councillor Smeaton. Well, I'll get you next time, Councillor Perry. All in favor?
Thank you, Mayor.
And that's passed. The second motion is that the bylaw to amend bylaw 2023-179, being a bylaw to regulate parking in the city of Kawartha Lakes, be amended to include the parking be restricted on both sides of the street on Mary Street West from Angeline Street South to a point 40 meters west of Wilson Avenue, Lindsay, with centerline marking on the S-bend. Can I have a motion for that? Councillor Deputy Mayor McDonald, seconder Councillor Richardson. What? Nothing. All in favor? And that's passed. And the third motion, that the bylaw to amend bylaw 2023-179, being a bylaw to regulate parking in the city of Kawartha Lakes as amended, be read a third time and final time, passed, numbered, signed, and the corporate seal attached. I have a motion. Councillor Ashmore. Seconder. Councillor Perry. Councillor Perry, I can't see you, so I don't know your second. Going back to the second motion, we need to amend it. It should be east of Wilson, not west of Wilson. So, what do you want to do? Just acknowledge that, all in favor that we acknowledge that it should be east of Wilson and not west of Wilson, and when it gets done, it'll say east, not west. Thank you. So there are no notices of motion. Can I get a mover and seconder that the closed session agenda be adopted? Councillor Warren, Councillor Perry. All those in favor? And that's passed. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest in closed session items? Seeing none. At this point in the meeting, City Council will go into closed session to consider the items under section 15.3 of the agenda. As per our procedural bylaw requirements, I'm asking all electronic participants in our meeting today to confirm to me by raising their hands that they are in a private room where no other person can overhear the deliberations and the internet connection is secure and not publicly accessible. Please raise your hands to confirm and keep them raised. Councillor Perry, you there? Okay. So you got to keep your hands raised for the next half hour, you know. Just kidding. Thank you. Can I get a mover and seconder for the following motion? That council convene into closed session at 3:30 p.m. pursuant to Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act in order to consider matters identified in Section 15.3 of the regular council meeting agenda of Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024, namely item 15.3.1 to and including 15.3.8. Mover? Deputy Mayor McDonald? Councillor Warren? All those in favor? And that's passed. At this point, the meeting broadcast will now end for members of the public watching on Cogeco, your TV cable. The live stream of the meeting on YouTube and the rebroadcast on Cable and Rogers Ignite will now be temporarily paused for members of the public. When closed session is complete, the live stream and rebroadcast of the meeting will resume to address the remaining open session items on the agenda. All remaining staff, with the exception of the CAO, City Clerk, and City Solicitor, are now instructed to leave the electronic meeting and council chambers at this time. Thank you all for coming today. back. Madam Clerk, items from closed session.
Matters from closed session, item 15.3.1, confidential closed session minutes. The confidential closed session minutes for the regular council meeting of June 25th to 2024 were approved. Item 15.3.2, a motion is required that request for proposal 2024-050-0OP, curbside collection and transportation of source-separated organics be awarded to Miller Waste System, Inc. That option A, curbside collection and transportation of source-separated organics be collected in all 4 urban areas, Lindsay, Bobcaygeon, Omemee, and Fenelon Falls on Fridays. That council authorize the option to renew the contract after the initial term, January 1st, 2025 to September 23rd, 2027, for an additional 2-year, 1-year, for additional 2 1-year terms based on successful completion of the initial term and each subsequent renewal annual budget approval. An annual consumer price index, all items excluding energy, increase of not more than 3%, and mutual agreement. And that subject to the receipt of the required documents, that the Director of Public Works be authorized to execute the agreement.
You're moving that, Councillor Owen? Seconder? Deputy Mayor McDonald? No comments, no question. All in favor? Oh, you want to speak to it, or?
Yeah, it's a historic day, actually, for me. Something I've been working on for a long, long time. So this is a baby step, but hopefully, in a few years, we're going to be doing it throughout the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, you want to say anything?
She said it all.
There you go. All in favor? And that's passed. Go ahead.
Item 15.3.3, staff provided council with information regarding a proposed acquisition of land to acquire title to a portion of traveled road encroaching on private property. Council provided the direction to staff. Item 15.3.4, council provided direction to staff regarding obtaining interest over the subject lands in the form of easements along Coburn Street, Fenelon. Item 15.3.5, council received an update on OLT-2300815, 27 Stub Road, Kings Bay Golf Club Limited. Item 15.3.6, council provided direction on the collective bargaining mandate for full-time firefighters. Item 15.3.7, council received an update on a property acquisition for affordable housing. And I believe there was one final. And then item 15.3.8, council received an update on the status of the rural zoning bylaw. That ends the closed session report.
Thank you. Councillor Ashmore, you have the confirming bylaw.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Smeaton, that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of a regular council meeting held Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024 be read a first, second, and third time passed, numbered, signed, and the corporate seal attached.
All in favor? And that's passed. I have a motion to adjourn. Councillor Yeo, Councillor Perry from afar. All in favor?
It's 11:30 at night here.
Thank you all very much. Thank you for zooming in. Thank you for coming. Thank you, staff.
You bet. Bye, everyone. Take good care.